When I went over to do my live review, my life was being shown to me like slides. All of my frames came together and then just disappeared. You're standing in front of the mirror of truth in that moment that, wow, my heart has missed a lot of what love is. On that other side, I could see what love was, and I could see that love didn't have a hierarchy. I could see that life and love were the same thing. There is life in the plant. It's the same exact life in a person. It's the same exact life in an animal. It's life. I'm not talking about levels of consciousness. I'm saying life. The majority of us. I can't speak for everybody, but I know what the majority of us are doing here. We were taught that this is love, and it's not. Whatever we're taught love is not what love is. Yandea. Your near-death experience was actually very recent, almost 1 year ago. Exactly, yeah. Can you tell me what was going on in the days kind of leading up to your near-death experience? So it was January 15th, 2024, and I was pregnant. I started just getting some cramping, and then I started spotting. My husband took me to the hospital and we were in emergency. We told them what was going on, and I started getting contractions, I could time them basically, right? So we said, okay, we know what's happening, so this is obviously not good. We ended up waiting for a very long time, like hours, 3 and 1, 2 hours exactly. Finally, when I was seen, it was 2. I would say it was already too late to really intervene in any way. I ended up having a miscarriage, and that is what led to me hemorrhaging. I was dismissed from the hospital, but before leaving, I went to the washroom, and that's where I had the first experience. That's when it started happening. So the first thing I realized was my hands and my feet were getting numb. They were cold, and then, all of a sudden, I couldn't feel them. I couldn't feel the floor. I couldn't feel, and I just kind of made my way out of the washroom. I found my husband was waiting outside for me, and then I just collapsed into his arms. There was a chair nearby, so he put me to rest in the chair and called for help. But while that was happening, I went into this place that I always describe as feeling like I was at the bottom of a sea, like a very deep ocean. There was nothing else down there except for me. That was all I could see. It was just total darkness. However, when I looked up, I could see that there was a light. It really felt like it was moonlight, It was that sort of light, as if I were underwater and could see the light from above coming in. I just wanted to go towards it. So I started going towards this light that was up there, and I could see it looked like waves. That visual made me feel as if I were underwater because there was no actual feeling of water, but just seeing the waves gave that impression, and it reminded me of that. I tried to go through the waves to the other side because I could see my husband there. I knew that was the realm where he was, where the hospital was, where everything was. But I just couldn't go through. I couldn't go through that barrier. I remember, although I couldn't see into the hospital itself, I knew that there was a male nurse coming down the hall. I knew he was talking to 2 female nurses. I couldn't see them. They weren't in the place I was, but I could see into that other area. I remember trying to get over a few times. I tried my best to go through this barrier, but it was just draining all of my energy. I just could not get through, and eventually I got so tired that I kind of gave up and sank back down. When I went back down, I don't remember anything about what was down there, except then I started hearing the nurse's voice. Oh, are you back now? Are you back now? I remember seeing my eyelids just, like from the inside, almost like when you're waking up. They started doing like that, and then I came back fully aware. That's when they put me on a stretcher and brought me into another room to check my pressure. Soon after that, I was sent home. That was it. No other checking or anything, just sent home and just given some instructions like, if it happens again, just put her feet up, type of stuff. And so that was it. We were like, okay, I guess this is normal, right? So we went home, and that was now the 16th because it was like midnight. Then my husband and I went, and I was on the couch laying down. He was making something in the kitchen for me. Then I just started feeling, like I was passing way too much blood. Like, now this is irregular. I won't get into the graphic details, but it was like any woman would know this is not normal in any way. So, he said, well, maybe we should move to the bedroom so you could be more comfortable. I remember not even. I didn't even get to fully raise myself. Immediately, I felt like all the darkness, like everything that happened to me before, felt like it was all happening again. So I just said, babes, it's happening again. Then he ran to me. I remember holding onto the couch just to hold on to something because I could feel my spirit just going, you know. I held onto the couch and that's when I slipped into the other side. I don't even know what to call it. Spirit realm, other side, whatever. But I would be going back and forth. I could share this with you. When I went over to do my live review, I remember the place I was. It was just darkness, and it's not a scary darkness. Some people think like, oh, it was dark. You know, then that's a bad place. Like, no, it's not. So we are the light. We are actually the light. We're in this place, and then my life was being shown to me like slides just coming in front of me like this, like just very quickly. I could see the beginning of my life, and it was like each little slide. Those were light, like light frames. Each slide had like something happening at some point in my life, and another slide would come, and another slide, like almost like events almost, right? And so it was from my birth all the way until that present time. And I again knew what was supposed to happen, right? Like, okay, yep, this is it. And I'm going through and I'm feeling this sense of confidence, right? Like because I know that I did well, you know, I'm like, okay, this is good, this is good. And then I know the next step is where, you know, we kind of, and this is the only way. I've thought so much over the past 12 months, like, is there a better way to explain this? And there's absolutely. I can't think of a better way. It just felt like my life was going to be weighed or like measured. Like all these frames came together, and I knew, okay, this is the time. This is like where we wait, you know, like see what it's, you know what it's worth. Almost sort of a thing. And then what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. Instead of it being measured and then the next, you know, portion happened. All my frames came together and then they just kind of collided and then just disappeared. Okay, nothing. And I remember thinking, that's not supposed to happen. Like that's never happened before, you know? Like what is this? This is a new thing. And then I thought to myself, oh, maybe it's because, you know, I thought I did so well. But I know that all of these things I saw that I did so well in was because I was moving through the spirit, right? I saw, you know, all of these different things, different ways I've helped people and all of this stuff. And I just thought, okay, it's because that was Most High. That was God. You know, the Spirit of God using my vessel to do these wonderful things. So I guess that's why it doesn't really equate for much, you know, for me, because it wasn't necessarily me doing it, you know, in that sense. And so, but then I had the thought of, well, no, what about being a vegetarian? I know that was me. I know that I did that because I felt the difficulty in it. You know, I feel like the times when I've done things that have been really amazing, it wasn't difficult at all because it really just felt like I was just being a vessel for spirit. But being a vegetarian, that was something that I actually had to, you know, like I guess I had to accomplish that, right? Like the temptation to eat certain things and whatever the case is. And I was like, but wait a minute, that should be worth something. I had that thought that came on that's points or something like that. That's something. And as soon as I had that thought, my next thought in my head, which I would say is my consciousness, was like, well, that's exactly why. That's exactly why it's not worth anything. Because look at what you're thinking. You're thinking that it should be worth something. And we have an idea. Like I think most people have an idea. If you were, raised in any sort of religion, we think of like the Judgment Day, when we're going to meet God. And what that experience showed me is that we are not going to be judged by God. There is no reason for God to judge us because our consciousness, the part in us that knows why we did everything we did, it doesn't matter how much we may want to lie to ourselves about why we're doing this or saying that, it's there. And so, it's our own consciousness that is going to literally be the judge. I'm not saying that God can't judge ye. I'm saying that there's no need for God to judge because we can't lie to ourselves when we're on that other side, right? Absolutely. You're standing in front of the mirror of truth. There is no lying to yourself. You cannot. There is just, you couldn't even try if you wanted to. You're just faced with the truth of who you are and everything. So there's no need, And so I realized that before I could even, think another thought, my own consciousness was like, but look at what you're thinking right then. And I had nothing to say other than, wow, yeah, my heart, wasn't in the right place. Maybe in the beginning it was because at that point I had been a vegetarian. Actually, I was a vegan for 9 years and then I was vegetarian for 3. So it was a period of 12 years altogether, back-to-back 9 years and then vegetarian. And in the beginning, maybe my heart was in the right place, but then by the end of it, it was kind of like, okay, you're part of a club, almost like it's another type of religion, in a sense. In a sense, it became, I'll say it, it becomes like that because there's like virtue signaling and all the different things, right? You get like, I don't know, some form of, oh wow, you've been a vegan for that many years, like that's great, And so then, even if people want to no longer be vegan or vegetarian, they don't want to let go of how far they've come, like all the years under their belt, right? And then so eventually you just forget maybe why you even became, a vegetarian or a vegan, and it gets polluted is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I could say for me it just became just something I just did, right? Like, okay, it's like set. I don't eat this, I don't eat that, I don't eat there, I don't buy products. I didn't have to think about it anymore. So it was just like on autopilot, right? My heart didn't have to be, like present because I'm just doing these things, right? That's what I mean when I said it's almost like a religion. Like you could get just into the ritual of it, or the routine of it, and you're missing the heart of it every day, every action, right? And that's what I learned in that moment, that wow, my heart has missed a lot of what love is. Because in the beginning I became plant-based because of my love for animals and not wanting to harm them for my own, benefit. But then, on that other side, I could see what love was. I could see that love didn't have a hierarchy. I could see that life and love were the same thing, and that there is life in the plant. It's the same exact life in a person. It's the same exact life in an animal. It's life. I'm not talking about levels of consciousness. I'm saying life, right? Life. What makes us alive is the same thing that makes us alive. Everything alive, everything living is because of the same force. We may have different levels of consciousness, but it's the life within all of us. The same life. And I saw that very clearly, that life was love. And so when I came back, I looked at everything differently, right? I couldn't view an animal, the life of an animal, greater than the life of a plant, greater than the life of a person. It just totally changed because I understood that it's love keeping everything alive. It's love, right? And yeah, it just made me have a deeper respect for all of life. All of life. And I know that that's hard for some people to understand, which is why I specified we're not talking about different levels of consciousness. Because if you take the life of a plant, you're taking the life of a plant. You take the life of an animal. That's what you're taking. You're taking life from these things. You're not taking their consciousness. You're taking their life. It's life that keeps us. We have to take life to keep living. That's the state of where we're at. It's that cycle of you taking life. And it's like we love to fool ourselves to feel greater, to feel better about ourselves for whatever the reason. But the truth is that we are constantly taking life to keep living. And we constantly give life also. And that's just the cycle of it all. It may seem tragic to some people, it may seem sad, but that is the life we live. And there really is no dying in that sense, because your life just goes towards another form of life, if you understand what I mean. Like I would go into that realm, see something, hear something, experience something, then come back into this realm. When I came back, I remember he was on the phone with 911 trying to get someone to come here. Then I would go back in and I would come back. This just happened a few times. Finally, it got to the point where, I was so weak. That's the best way to put it. I was just so weak in this realm. Like on the other side, I'm fine, but when I come here, it's like I could feel I don't have any more strength to hold on. Finally, I said to him, I'm going. I can't hold on anymore. Like this is it. I knew that was it. That last moment, that was it. I told him I wanted to record a message for my children. We have 5 children, so I wanted to leave something for each of them because they were in bed at that time. He got out his phone and recorded a message for each of them. I said to him, we just have to pray, pray that I will be able to get sent back into my body, because I knew that that was it, and I felt like that was the only way. We got to, talk to the Most High and see if if we both ask, and, I think maybe we could get that answered. And so he said, okay. As soon as he agreed, I just went to the other side. When I was over there, I got a clear understanding. I'm like, whatever I was doing here and whatever we are doing here, the majority of us, I can't speak for everybody, but I know what the majority of us are doing here. We were taught that this is love, and it's not. Whatever we're taught love is not what love is. And so I wanted to come back to get a chance to actually love. Because when I was there, I remembered you were supposed to come here to love. That's what you wanted to come to Earth to do. And I was like, I didn't do it. I did all this other stuff and I didn't do it. And so I just wanted to come back to get a chance to do that now that I had a complete memory of it. And that's why when I was praying and I was saying, just I see it now. I remember I had forgotten. Just send me back so I can do it. And that's why I was sent back. I know in the deepest part of me that that's the only reason. Because when I was standing there again in the presence, it's just the best way I could put it. When I was standing there in the presence of the Most High, it literally was like I was waiting for an answer. I knew that what my heart wanted was to go back and to love. And I knew that the only way I would be able to go back into my body was if this person, this being, this force that gives permission, that controls life, that we are all existing in, to put it that way, right? Is if that intelligence knew I could accomplish that. I knew that. I knew it. So I was just okay with the answer, because I knew that if the answer was no, it would be because maybe I would forget again, or maybe I wouldn't do it. And so when I was sent back into my body, I knew like, okay, I can do it. So since then, I've just been talking about love, trying to help people understand the difference. With what we've been taught and what it really is, what it looks like, what it feels like, and how to do it. After the life review, I went back into the same place and I saw everybody. The whole place was full of people, but they were not in physical bodies. They were just like light bodies. Each person had like an energetic signature, I could know when I was standing in front of my husband. I knew that that was him, although everybody looked the same. There was no different shape, like taller or shorter. Everything was the same, except when you were looking at that person, you knew that that light was that person. Our light is different, but not different like better or worse, How it was situated was that right in front of me were the brightest lights. Directly in front of me was my husband, and then the 5 children. They were very bright, and it just started going all the way to the back, where the dimmest lights were. So when this was first in front of me, I was looking at everybody. Oh, that's my husband. That's my child. I knew who everybody was, and I could look. It didn't matter how far the person was. If my eyes went to them, I knew who it was. Just by looking at their light, I could tell who it was, even if they were very dim. At that point, I went and stood just in front of my family who were there. Nobody was talking to me. They were just there. I stood in front of them, and the more I looked into their light, the more I was able to understand what I was looking at. At first, I just saw it as, oh, they're just light. Then as I looked into them, I thought, wait a minute, this isn't just light. This is what they're made of. I started realizing like this is what they're made of. This thing. This is their essence. And then I was as the more I went into it, like the longer I stayed there, the more I was knowing, oh, this is their essence. And I said, wow. And then I'm like, wait, feeling it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is love, right? And I'm like, well, this is life. So I'm like, wow, love is life. It is the essence. And then, as soon as I got that revelation, it's like, in my mind, I just thought everything. Like everything living was made of this. Like everything is made of light, And then that light is love. That's the essence of everything. So I knew then wholly, love is not at all. We were never, no one ever told me like, the flower is made of love. You know what I mean? Like everything that has life in it. Like love is actually the essence of all things. Like love is actually life. Love is not an emotion. We gave that name to the emotion. And guess what? I may be like, oh, I love my dog. And someone be like, I love my car. And someone's like, I love schoolwork. And we just use love like, oh, whatever. We use love so loosely like for everything. But we could all be experiencing different emotions calling it love. We don't know what the other person is feeling when they're saying that they love something, right? We're just guessing that what they're saying is what we mean when we say we love, but we have no idea. And so I realized, like, wow, love is the made, like everything is made of love, everything is made of life, and it's like this is the essence of all things. So then my question was, well, these people over there are not as bright as these people who are close to me, and it's like as soon as I just had a question, as soon as I just thought, like, why this? It's like the answer was there. And so I knew that the people who were far from me, it's because I did not spend that time making love with them, right? And when we hear like making love, we always maybe think something is something sexual, but like no. Making love is actually something that you can produce more of. So it's not that the people who were far, like I say, I use the word like dimmer. It's not that they were dimmer because the light wasn't strong. It's just that the light that they had with me, it wasn't a lot. You get what I'm saying? So it's not that light was a lesser quality, it's like one cup being full and the other cup with the same quality of water, just not having as much, right? So think of the light when I say, like brighter, as actually full, more full, and others like not as full, and so the ones that were not as full are what I would call dimmer, right? They were like further back and the full ones were closer to me, and then I thought, how do I make those to be bright too, you know? Because I knew that somehow within me, I knew that they weren't supposed to be that dim, you know? I just had that feeling in me. Like, well, because I asked the question, well, how do I do that? How do I make those brighter? And that's when it all came into me of like how to make love. And then I understood that, you know, when we are, like I'll give the example of like, let's say you and I are talking, right? Like we're talking right now. So often while someone is talking to us, we may be thinking of, okay, how am I going to answer? What am I going to ask her next? It's just a human thing, right? Like, what am I going to ask next? And or they say something, and we start thinking about it. In that moment, we're not there with that person anymore, right? And so these were people, the people who were really far. It was like there was one lady who was a cashier. I remember that very clearly. She was a cashier, and you could think of that experience as, you know, someone saying like, hey, how are you? How was your day? And it's like, okay, I'm good. Okay, thanks. Just a transaction, you know, for a moment. You're there. You may be on your phone or whatever. And then you're gone. The amount of people who were there, I could not believe. To me, these people would have been insignificant in my life, like the cashier. Like, come on, really? Why is she part of this? But every single person I ever had an interaction with was in this, every single person. And so I understood that all it takes. When I talk about making love, it doesn't mean that you have to spend a long time with the person. It means that when you're with the person, you give them your all. That's it. You give them all of your attention. You give them you. You're giving them your essence. Remember, love is the essence of who you are. So you give them yourself, right? You're just giving your full attention. You're listening with your heart, with your ears, with your eyes. You're watching. You're seeing, okay? Like everything. You're just giving everything. You're smelling everything. Use it all. Give your whole self, and just be there, you know. And I guess for the example of like a conversation, when that person stops talking, then it's okay. You don't. Whatever you need to say will be there, you know. So just being in the moment, being present, and just giving your all, you know. And that's how you create more love, right? And I just wanted to go back. I wanted to come back to love more. I remember when I was there and I was experiencing that, I was thinking, wait, I've experienced this before. I've felt this essence before. I've been in this, because there was a time where, after I had seen all of that, it was like, okay, understood. Suddenly I started being pulled back. Like if my children and my husband are standing here, I started being pulled back from them. So like the group of people were there and I was being pulled back. I remember thinking, okay, what's going on now? It felt like I was being pulled into the time. So I say it felt like 8 years. I don't really know if it's 8 years, just the feeling of it. I say it felt like I was being pulled like 8 years into the future. I was being shown like, this is like 8 years after you die. Like, so from this day, this is what's happening to this love. At first they could feel me. They could still feel my presence with them. Then at the 8-year mark, I just became a memory. After 8 years, I was like, you know, they can't feel me. You know, they can't feel me. I knew the only way for my presence to remain with them was if I created more love with them. So I was like, send me back. You're this short. That's too short for them not to feel me anymore, you know? I just wanted to be sent back to make more love. Honestly, in my heart, I was really just thinking first and foremost of my husband and children, because I was just like, I don't want them to just be a memory after 8 years, you know? I was like, send me back. I want to love properly. I want to teach them how to love. I want to help other people understand this. I remember working with clients, and I would have experiences where they didn't even come to me to speak to a dead loved one or a loved one that had passed over. I don't even like the word dead because it's not true. But you know, a loved one that had, let's say, transitioned. I would be helping them with one thing, and then all of a sudden I could feel this love, right? That's how I do my healing work. Everything I do is always tied to that feeling of love. I could feel this love, and suddenly there's a message. I would be like, okay, and I would just deliver the message. They'd be like, wow, like that's my whoever. Then it would just continue until everything, you know, the entire message had passed. But I would stay in this flow of love. When I was over there on the other side, I said, this is what I feel in my sessions. This is what I've been tapping into all the time. I would never have said, like I'm tapped into love. I just thought, you know, it's a spiritual thing, something's happening. And so it makes sense because love is spirit, love is life, love is the essence of all things. And so that's when I thought, okay, I need to be able to make more love with my family. I need to be able to just be present with everybody. Even if it's a stranger, I need to just be there. I think I spent the most time in that place because of how important it is. And like I said, I remembered. This is why I came to Earth in the first place. I had done all these things, you know, and I remember thinking, people think of me as a loving person. It's so funny. In this life, people always say, you're so loving, you're so loving. But on the other side, I realized, oh no, they do think I'm loving, but I'm not really loving. I'm not really loving the way that I'm supposed to teach them. So they're seeing it in me, but that's not the full thing. I'm supposed to teach them like the real thing. And so I was like, send me back. Because at this point, you know, I don't think I've accomplished what I should, you know, not in its fullness. So I'm just focusing on that right now. Hopefully, if you will have completed that to its fullness, or for whoever, if they were to die or transition, would there be that 8 and however many year time? Or would that be longer if they completed their mission? How does that work, do you think? I don't know if the 8 years. I really don't know if it's 8 years. That's just what it felt like to me when I was being pulled back. It felt like one. You know, it felt like 8 years. But, I don't know if that is for everybody. It could have just been for me, really. I was just being shown my family. They were there in front. And as I was being pulled away from them, I could feel like I literally was feeling a timeline of me dying right there that day. And then 8 years in the future, I knew exactly like they could feel me. They could feel me. They could sense me around them. And then all of a sudden, when I got to that certain mark of that 8-year period, they couldn't feel me, but they were still remembering me. They could remember me forever, but then they were just not. That's where the feeling stopped, and I knew, oh, it's the love. So I don't know, if that would be what it is for everybody. I know that there are some people, since I've come back and I've been talking to people and even clients whose loved ones have transitioned. Like that's happened a lot more now since I transitioned and came back. I guess there's just more of an understanding, you know, about it, and so I'm able to help more in that way. But it's not something that I seek out doing. Like if it happens, right? But I can say that I think I've experienced people whose loved ones have passed on a long time ago, like years ago, and they are still able to come through. And then I've experienced people whose loved ones recently, you know, passed. And there are people whose loved ones who recently passed, and there's absolutely nothing, you know. So I don't know if that's a matter of just that the loved ones have moved on to other things in that realm, or even could have come back already, you know, and so there's just no one over there to talk to. But, so I don't think it could be one thing.
I don't think it could be one thing because there was one woman that I spoke to, and her mom had died. I think like her mom had passed away like 4 or 5 years before I had even met her. And her and her mom had a terrible relationship. I mean, it was very abusive. It was all sorts. She went into foster care and everything. And her mom, I was talking to her, and then her
Mom just said, I gave her my name, it's all I had. I was like, oh wow, this lady knows nothing about that. I can do this. I was kind of hesitant to say something because it's not something that I put out there. Well, I guess now it's being put out there because we're talking in a sense, but yeah. I said to her, your mom said this. And then that was exactly what her mom had given her. I guess her name was from her mom, and her mom was saying, it's all I had to give you. I got all this information about her mother's mental state and what had happened to her mom, which caused her to be the type of way. Like, this is stuff obviously I couldn't have known. But her mom was saying this. Her mom said, I've waited all this time for someone who could give this message to you. And that touched me so much because I thought, when did your mom pass away? She told me, and I said, that's a long time she's been waiting. That is love. She has been waiting too. Yeah. Her mom said, I've been waiting for someone who could hear this to pass it on to you. As soon as that happened, she had her moment and forgave her mom, and her mom was gone. She's gone. So is that for everybody? I don't know. But I know love is powerful enough because while you're here, you could be going through all the mental illness and everything, sickness. When you're over there, that's gone. Your mind is clear, you know whatever. It doesn't matter what you're suffering with on this realm. When you're over there, it's all gone. Every disease, every mental, everything. So now all of a sudden you're in a clear mind and you're realizing like, oh man, I had children, I had this, I had that, and I didn't. If your love for them is strong enough, you can definitely wait around because there is someone who, I don't even like to say someone, but let's just say the force who created us all. The force who created us all. Love is the thing. Love is the divine currency. So if you have that much love and you just want to let that person know, I love you, I'm sorry, and you want to release them so that they could go on, and that's good. That's going to be allowed. You know what I mean? That's going to be allowed. And I know that because I know what was in my heart when I was standing there. And I know that the only reason I was allowed to come back was because of love. That was it. It wasn't for anything else. It wasn't to make more money. It wasn't for anything. It was because I said love. And it was like, okay, that's the word. That's the path. So that was it. Yeah, so I don't think for everybody it's different. I think it could be different for everyone. That's amazing. And just like the thought about how you can talk to past ones, maybe even if they can't yet talk back to you if there's no one to translate the message, but that they're listening. It's beautiful, But like I said, there are a lot of things that happened. For 2 weeks after my experience, it was all just trying to recalibrate. Like I didn't even want to come back. I wanted to be here, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be with my family, but I didn't want to be in this realm, I just didn't. It was so hard for my spirit to stay, in my body because it was like, the best way I could explain it, like it was just so gross. It was so gross. The atmosphere was just like, man, I mean, you come from one place where you're surrounded by purity, by truth, by real love. There are no lies. There are no disguises. Everything just is what it is. And then you come back into this place and you could literally feel it, like it's so thick. It's so, it's like if you could imagine over there it's just clear. It's like you're just swimming through just pure water. No, nothing in it. Nothing. And then, here is like mud. It's just nasty, I just didn't want it. I didn't want to feel that weight, on me. And yeah, it took about 2 weeks for me to finally be like, okay, I have to. I'm here, In that 2-week period, I was just trying to, translate all of the information that I had received when I was on that side into verbiage, to be able to articulate, like that information. How do you say it here without it getting misunderstood? Without it, trying to make the speech, because the speech that we have here is not pure either, Say, oh, that's wicked. And then some people think you're meaning it's bad, while others think your meaning is good. Bad is good and good is bad, in speech now. So it's very difficult to find a way to say something that is so pure and so true with language that can be easily misunderstood. So that was kind of like the process. How do I articulate these things that I've seen in these memories and all of that? But yeah, wow, that's so interesting. I feel like it kind of echoes what a lot of people say. It's literally translating into a different language your experience. I imagine it must be really hard for people to do that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you briefly about is, I looked through your sites and you offer a lot of different services. Just across all of them, it's about healing. And I'm wondering, how did you become a healer? Was it something you were born with, or did you have to learn those kinds of skills? Yeah, so my healing is like it got passed down. I guess it's a gift, right? So my grandfather was a healer. He's transitioned now. My grandfather was a healer, and his mother also was very spiritual into healing too. I'm the first granddaughter of my grandfather, and there's like a big gap between my other cousins, right? And so my grandfather, pretty much like my last uncle, he is 2 years older than me. So I ended up kind of being like my grandmother and grandfather's last baby. But I wasn't their baby. I was raised by them, And so I was raised by them until I was around 7 years old, around there. My grandfather just kind of had me under his wing, and he was the one who explained to me about my giftings. He is the one who showed me, different things. Like I would see certain things and he would, okay. He never let me know that it was, he would tell me that it was my thing, but he would never say that other people don't have that. So I never knew that. I never knew at all. I would ask him, how come this is happening? And he would say, okay, it's because you do, He would explain. But it's not until I came to Canada that I realized, after talking to some kids in the playground, about, okay, when you dream, do you go there and does that happen? And these people. And I'm talking to them like, do you know them too? And they're like, what? And that's when I kind of realized, like, wait a minute. My mom also said to me, don't talk to people about this. She told me, just don't, because they won't understand. And whatever. So I learned, from a young age, like, yeah, if you don't want to be considered weird or odd, or if you want to have friends, you just kind of keep these types of conversations to yourself, or whatever, talk to your family. Other people who may have that, because there are other people in my family who have, similar giftings also, right? So, but for me, I'm the most like my grandfather. Like we have all the same gifts, and I have some other ones, right? But yeah, so that's how I was raised. But then my grandfather transitioned, and then I was kind of left to figure it out on my own, So that took a lot of just really being super connected, I'm going through those murky waters, I'm really trying to know what is light, what is darkness, And so I just learned to follow my intuition. I'm going to put it that way. I learned that my intuition never leads me astray, ever. Anytime I have not listened to my intuition, it's been trouble. Anytime I've listened to my intuition, it's been perfect. So I just really depend on my intuition. When I was involved in Christianity, people call it the Holy Spirit, So there's many different ways. Language really separates us. I'm not a fan of language, I wish we could all just kind of touch each other and feel what we really mean, because language trips us up, But it does more dividing, I think, than bringing together at times. Thank you so much for your time in this interview. Do you have any parting words for people who will be watching? I've been talking a lot about integrating your higher self, and I think like this year, 2025, like I've already talked about kind of like predictions for 2025 in a sense. I don't really like that word, predictions, but preparing for 2025. And I would say 2024 really was teaching us what we like and what we don't like. All the so-called negative things that were happening in our lives were to really be contrast, to show you and to let you know, hey, I really don't like this type of friendship. I really don't like this type of relationship. I really don't want to continue the rest of my life working in this sort of environment or the government or whatever, whichever way it went for different people. And so we have to be able to look back at 2024 and really look at it through a perspective of what did I learn in terms of what I like and what I don't like, who I should keep in my life and who I should release out of my life. Because 2025 is going to be very quick. A lot of big events are going to happen. And whoever you are surrounding yourself with, it's going to be magnified, right? So if you're in a negative situation and you do not want to get out of that situation and you're accepting it, pretty much what you're doing is allowing more negative situations to be attracted to you in a sense, because you are saying you're giving permission, right? You're giving permission like, yeah, this doesn't feel good, but I like it. That's really what you're saying, but I'm okay with it. So then it gives permission to more things that don't feel good to come into your life. You need to be very deliberate with who you have around you, what you're saying yes to, and what you're saying no to. If you say no to that, it's like that's what it's going to be. If you say yes to that, that's what it's going to be. Also, everything is just going to be magnified in 2025. So I would say be very deliberate with who you decide to hang out with, where you decide to put your energy, and what you're deciding to watch. Whatever you are giving your energy to, it is going to be magnified. If you're watching a lot of negative things, you're going to get a lot more negative things to watch. If you're watching positive things, you're going to get a lot more positive things to watch, to listen to, or to interact with, Yeah, I hope that made sense to you. But I just called 2025 the year of magnification. If it's one person that's positive that you leave in your circle, keep that one person. It's better to have that one positive person, because you and that one positive person are going to bring a lot more positivity, as opposed to you one positive and then 3 or 4 negative. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I do, yeah. So that's kind of what I would want to let people know. It's going to go quick. It's going to be intense, but for some people it will be the best year of their lives, and for others it will definitely be the worst. So, yeah. And for people who are watching this and they want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? So I have a YouTube channel that I'm more so pivoting towards, because I think maybe a lot of people find it easier to reach, people that way. So, I actually have now 2 podcasts that I do, like one I just started this year, which is, Come Let Us Reason Together. I think this is where I'm hoping to be able to connect with people. So you can reach me, obviously through my website, abama.com, which you'll put down there, the spelling and everything. But that's how you could reach me through the website or connect with me on my YouTube channel. I like to answer questions there, because what one person is asking, other people are probably asking it also, right? So I like to be able to communicate that way. I'm hoping to get just regular people to come on and let's just talk. I love that. I love it. I'll be checking it out for sure. I appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for watching this video on TNH Afterlife. We're so grateful to have such an amazing audience, and your comments always make me so happy and interested. My name is Lauren, and if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to TNH Afterlife. I can't wait to share more near-death experience stories that can change your perspective on life and death.